And Alex, we had some football today, kind of. After sort of
something resembling football.
After what Bill Belichick called a good long weekend after a couple violations last week.
It's one way to put it.
The Patriots were back on the practice fields today for the first time in front of us. The reporters were live. Me and Alex were both at Gillette Stadium. And before we get into the kind of nitty-gritty stuff, all the details, and we'll really break this down, my big takeaway is we have an offense again. Not to overreact, but Bill O'Brien was in command of the offense. It was his show. As you said yesterday, he was the head coach of the offense, which is what this team needed. So it was a strong start, and I thought Mac kind of said it best after it's back to normal.
CLNS Media's Patriots coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.
He didn't even say back to. It's just like, what's it like?
It's normal. It was normal working with him.
What's it like working with Bill O'Brien? It's normal, which is so telling, right? It's hard not to be comparative when he says that. And later on in the answer, and I wrote about this on 985thesportshub.com, he said, talking about working with O'Brien, when you're with a new coach, the most important thing is communication and trust. Like he went out of his way to put and trust. So he has a normal coach he can trust. What a concept. And things suddenly look great. Now, we shouldn't be oohing and aahing over a functioning offense on the first day of OTAs, but that's where we were last year. There were some people, some of them who might be on the show, trying to tell all of you that last year was not normal. This was not as simple as, the quarterback's having a down year. It wasn't that simple. And there's Mac Jones saying it, and you saw the evidence of it today. 3 practices in, because remember, they had 2 close practices, 3 practices in. They are ahead of where they were in like November last year. Brian, the total number of players we saw in pre-snap motion today might out-snap their entire pre-snap count from all of last year.
Regular season.
Yes, exactly. Bill O'Brien has taken command of this thing. He's reworked it. Mac Jones got asked a couple of times in a couple different ways how familiar it is to the Alabama offense, how familiar it is for him compared to Josh McDaniels' offense. He kind of said yes without saying yes in answering those, but it's a real NFL offense. So last year on this day, we came on the show 2 hosts ago on this freaking program, and we were talking about how they're going to try to run zone they're going to have Trent Brown and Mike Onwenu pulling, and they're taking all these deep shots. They're not throwing short anymore. What's going on? And we had no idea what the hell we were looking at. Here we are a year later, and hey, would you look at that? There's an actual offensive coach running the offense, and we can comprehend what we saw.
And again, it's OTAs. There's no pads, there's no contact, but it's an encouraging start. They seem to have a good rhythm, a good pace. They weren't obviously just screwing things up, kind of like we saw last year at times.
You know what? It's as simple. And you say, like, it's OTAs. And we're going to talk about the performance of a couple different players today. I put like 0 stock into this player was good, this player was bad from OTAs. We're most talking about who lined up where, who was on the field with who. That's more what this is. But they didn't have to stop practice because guys didn't know the play. They didn't have to stop practice because guys weren't lining up right. They didn't have to stop practice because they didn't have the right, personnel on the field to run the call. That part was seamless, which, again, we shouldn't be freaking out about, but it was refreshing.
After last year, definitely refreshing.
Right.
So the big thing on the field with the players, if you thought there was going to be a quarterback competition, today said there wasn't. Mac Jones got most of the important reps, if you will say.
I like to call them impact reps, high impact reps.
With the ones with the projected starters. I think there might have been one session where Bailey Zappi got like 3 or 4, but most of the day it was Mac with the starters. So no quarterback competition for now.
No, this is far and away Mac's job to lose. You mentioned there's one period, it was a low intensity 11-on-11 period that Bailey Zappi got after Mac Jones had went for 6 or 7 plays, got 3 or 4 snaps with the first team offense. But the real, if we had, and again, it's OTAs, I'm not putting a ton of stock in any of it. There's no pads, guys aren't there, but if there was one period that was like, okay, this is the period, this is as live as it gets, they did run a 2-minute session about halfway through practice. This was right after. So they had that session where it was mostly Mac and then a little bit of Zappy. Then they did a punt team drill, and then they ran this 2-minute offense. Mac Jones ran it with the first team. Bailey Zappi ran it with the second team. There was no switching, none of that. Mac Jones' team. It's Mac Jones' job to lose. This is still Mac Jones' team. He is still their quarterback. If there is a quarterback competition, Bailey Zappi is really going to have to light it up with the second team to create one. And that's not to say he was bad today. He was fine. Again, I'm not going to put a ton of stock into any of this, outside of Trace McSorley throwing a couple of really bad interceptions, but that's fine. You're a Big Ten guy, right, Brian?
Yeah.
You're big. Did you catch the Big Ten on Big Ten crime today?
Hawkins.
Brad Hawkins picking off Trace McSorley. But yeah, Mac Jones is this team's starting quarterback. We're not doing a quarterback competition thing this spring. We're probably not going to do it this summer. If it comes out and they're really ugly in September, that's when we'll bring it up. But until then, this is, as we tried to tell you all summer or all winter, all spring, this is Mac Jones' team.
And I think he looked kind of in a good state of mind talking to him too. Kind of had that rookie level confidence back, which I think he needs after everything he went through last year. The only
relaxed, and I mean that in a good way. Like he didn't. There were times last year where it felt like the weight of all of it. We just went through what all of it is. There were times last year where it felt like the weight of all of it was on him, and he had to carry this thing through everything they were going through. And I remember there was a comment early in camp when the offense was really struggling that he said, you know, well, I'm just doing what the coach is asking me to do. And I kind of interpreted it as, this is as much as I can do right now. Like there's not much more I can do to improve this. It didn't feel like he had that weight on. He felt comfortable. Yeah. He felt relaxed. It seemed like he really was. I mean, you say rookie confidence. I understand what you mean, but not like first year player confidence. He was back to where he was in 2021, which I thought was just, you know, I'm here to throw the football. I'm here to throw the football and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. That's kind of the vibe Mac Jones was giving off today, which is similar to what he had his rookie year, which is good to see.
New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.